Come on, y'all. Is Summerslam really this weekend? That's what I'm asking myself really to start tonight's review. I don't even think I'm going to go an hour. I really don't. I probably will just because I talk a lot, but I got to be honest. I don't expect to go an hour tonight, man. This show... Is SummerSlam really this weekend? We really got to ask ourselves that. Is SummerSlam really this weekend? How bad can this show get? Really? Your second biggest show of the year. A show that's supposed to be on the level of the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. And this is the garbage you've given us. With this show tonight, you wouldn't even think that there's a pay-per-view this weekend, let alone SummerSlam. Man, this show was atrocious tonight. Atrocious. So atrocious, I don't even think my mic is plugged in. This show was so atrocious that I don't even want to I don't even want to do my normal setup. I didn't even put the normal podcast layout. Because to be honest, I don't even want to be here. I really don't want to be here right now. I'm only doing it because this is what I do. But man, was this show bad. We are 6 days away from SummerSlam, people. Get that through your head. Think about that. 6 days away from SummerSlam. If you guys couldn't tell by the way I'm opening up tonight's podcast, Raw was awful tonight. Honestly, Raw was awful. I don't even know if there's anything good that came out of this show. Really. Honestly, the only thing that I'm hyped about, and I've been saying this the last couple weeks, the only thing that I'm excited about, truly excited about, going to SummerSlam, Sasha Banks versus Asuka, even though I'm terrified that Sasha's losing the Raw Women's Championship, and Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton. Other than that, this show, it doesn't even feel like SummerSlam. Honestly, look at the card. You look at the card. Does it even feel like a pay-per-view card? Honestly, not really. This show is bad. I don't even have notes. I don't have notes. I'm doing this off the top. Anyway, welcome to the Legit Shoot Podcast. I'm Fitzmonk TV, your host. Thank you guys for joining me. No matter if you guys are new subscribers or if you guys are old, thank you guys for joining me here tonight. And this is your Monday Night Raw review. Summerscam. Yes, Summerscam. Go home show. And it is going to be a very busy week on the podcast. Hopefully I won't be this mad and angry and tense this week. Because it's going to be a lot of content. A lot of content. Just let you guys know what to expect on the channel, on the podcast this week. Most likely Wednesday. At the latest Thursday, but most likely Wednesday, we will be doing a SummerSlam preview and prediction stream. Jesus, man. We're going to be doing a preview and prediction stream. We're going to be, giving our thoughts and predictions of what's going to happen on Summerscam. All right. We're also going to be having an NXT TakeOver 30 review on Saturday. You'll have your normal SmackDown review on Friday. I'm also going to be doing a reaction video because WWE Network, they're going to be telling... That's probably the most hyped thing I have for this week. You know, cause I'm not that excited for SummerSlam. WWE Network, they're going to be having a documentary, WWE Untold, on Sasha Banks and Bayley from their first match at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. You guys know I believe that was probably the best women's match of all time. So I'm going to probably be doing a reaction to that later this week. Probably on Sunday, maybe. And Sunday, we're going to be having the SummerSlam reaction stream. And we will have the SummerSlam review live right back here on the channel right after that. So tons of content on the podcast on the channel this week. So you guys are definitely going to want to be subscribed. Definitely going to want to have notifications enabled for all of those juicy goods. It is going to be absolutely wild. Yeah. Some of you guys are asking me, oh, what's my thoughts on WWE Thunderdome? I don't know. Like, the way they're hyping it up, and even Kevin Dunn, Booktooth Kevin Dunn of all people, he did an interview with Sports Illustrated earlier today, and he said, WWE Thunderdome will be like something you've never seen before. I have no idea what to expect from this Thunderdome garbage. I don't want to call it garbage. I'll give it a chance. But to be honest, you could have all the LED graphics. Who knows? It might look really cool. You could have all the lights and the pyro and all that. But is it going to make the shows better? Is it going to make WWE Creative better? Like I said, you could have a whole new set. You could have all these graphics and all these cool tech to make the experience and the presentation stand out. But is it going to make the shows better? Because it doesn't matter. You can have all the virtual fan experience stuff you want. But if you give me the shows like we had tonight with Monday Night Raw, then who gives a crap? Who gives a shit? I'm not going to give a shit. If Monday Night Raw is going to be like the way it was tonight for 3 hours, I don't care. I don't care. I'll give it a chance, definitely. But if it's not going to help creative, if it's not going to make the shows overall better with creative storytelling, direction, then I don't give a crap. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to give it a chance. Just like I've given Raw Underground a chance. And Raw Underground through 3 weeks has been absolutely atrocious. But I'll give it a chance. Because I'm a fair person. But honestly, I don't have high hopes for it. Just being honest, I do not have high hopes for it. We'll see. We gotta wait till Friday. I've seen the leak sets and the build up for it on social media, and they're hyping it all up. It's a ratings ploy, but we'll have to wait till Friday to see how it all looks. Anyway, let's get to Monday Night Raw tonight. Honestly, bro, I don't even know where to begin. I really don't want to go through this show. Because honestly, nothing happened. Nothing happened. And it's SummerSlam. This is supposed to be your go-home show, and nothing happened. Nothing that I cared about, really. At least last week, there was some decent segments. This week, nothing. Nothing. Let's start with the main event, actually. Let's start with the Shawn Michaels. I don't know if I'm going to work my way backwards here, but I don't know. I'm going to be all over the place with this review. Because like I said, I do not want to be here. I really don't. Plus, damn. My computer's lagging, so I don't even have notes. But, man. Let's start. So at the end of the show tonight, Shawn Michaels came out. And basically, you could tell where this was coming from. You guys know how much I love Shawn Michaels, one of my favorites of all time. But you could tell where this was going right away. It was pretty obvious where this was going. Alright? What? Shawn Michaels, a legend. Randy Orton, legend killer. Legend plus Randy Orton equals legend killer. It's that simple. They showed a replay of what Randy Orton did to Ric Flair last week, and I said it was great. It was great what they did with Ric Flair and Randy Orton. It was very emotional and unexpected. I didn't expect Ric Flair to be reaching out in that emotional of a segment. But they didn't, and it was a great ending to Raw. Shawn Michaels came out. He, talked down Orton for what he did. He said Orton didn't have the same respect for Flair like others, like a Drew McIntyre, like Shawn Michaels himself. Remember, Shawn Michaels is the guy that retired Ric Flair back at WrestleMania 24, 12 years ago. This is so crazy it's been that long. But yeah, it's been 12 years since Ric Flair was retired by Shawn Michaels. And then what happened is, Shawn said at Summerscam, Summerscam, he said, no matter if it's in the form of Sweet Chain Music or a Claymore Kick, Randy Orton will get his justice. He'll get what's coming to him. He'll get his comeuppance. And I was thinking, are they going to make, Shawn Michaels the special guest referee? That's what was going through my head at that moment. But no. Out of nowhere, Randy Orton shows up, and this was predictable. RKO Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels still, after all these years, is still able to beautifully sell an RKO. And then Randy Orton, wasting no time, rips off his vest, punts Shawn Michaels, and then Drew McIntyre comes out. Shawn wasn't knocked unconscious by the punt kick, but he was definitely struggling. He was seeing stars. So I kind of like what they did there. Drew McIntyre comes out. Then, when Drew is checking on Shawn Michaels, Randy Orton tries to sneak attack Drew McIntyre. And then McIntyre and Orton start brawling. Drew starts throwing Randy Orton around the ring. I kind of wish there was a little more intensity there. I wish there was a little more intensity. There's just a tad bit missing here. But it wasn't bad. But Drew McIntyre, he threw Randy Orton over the announce table. Then he went back. This was where I was like, oh, Drew, you're making Drew look like an idiot. Drew, being the babyface, stupidly turns his back on Randy Orton after he throws him over the announce table. Then Drew goes back into the ring to check on Randy Orton. Check on Shawn Michaels. And then Randy gets up, he recovers, and then he hits Drew McIntyre with an RKO. So, at the end of the day, Randy Orton looks strong, Drew McIntyre looks like an idiot, and that's how the show ended tonight. So, that was the only real problem I had with the segment. They made Drew McIntyre look like an idiot again, and I'm just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, are we really seriously going through this again? Why would you have the babyface turn his back on the heel? If I'm Drew McIntyre, I'm pissed. I want to do as much damage to Randy Orton as possible before SummerSlam. Why would I turn my back on him? There's medical officials, there's referees checking on Shawn in the ring. I'm doing damage on my opponent, especially someone that's been hated like Randy Orton, who's took it out legend after legend after legend. But no, Drew turns his back on Randy, and then that allows Randy to sneak back up against Drew McIntyre and hit him with the RKO. So, yes, I am hyped for Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. It's one of the only two things that I'm hyped about for SummerSlam. It's going to be spectacular. Who is going to win? I still don't know. If I had to bet my money, I'm going with Randy Orton. You really haven't done anything to make me believe that Drew's going to get payback, unless all the legends suddenly reappear. But right now, if I had to take a guess, Randy Orton's walking out the 14-time world champion. But that's my thoughts on that. It wasn't a bad segment, but man, WWE knows how to make baby faces look stupid. Moving on. And like I said, my computer still hasn't loaded. That's why, I don't have everything set up like usual. I'm doing this off the top of my head. But I know if you go back, I know at the beginning of the show, Drew McIntyre did cut a promo. And Drew was cutting a brilliant promo, a beautiful promo. And then all of a sudden, you see, and you saw this at the top of the show when they showed the Then Now Forever intro for Raw, or for any WWE show. Everything was glitching out. And things were glitching out during Drew McIntyre's promo. They were showing, other cutscenes. They were showing other matches and things. Basically anything other than Drew McIntyre cutting a promo. And Drew was cutting a beautiful promo about getting revenge on Randy Orton. Then all of a sudden, we pan over to the production truck, and we see Retribution. They're in the production truck. I was hoping we would get to see Kevin Dunn getting his ass beat, but, like most things in life, we never get our way. Instead, we see Retribution. They take over the production truck. They're slamming monitors. They're breaking equipment. They're throwing out production staff. And it was just... that basically tells you that Retribution is a heel faction because they interrupted Drew, the babyface, during a brilliant promo. All right, but other than that, I didn't like it. I'm just like, is Retribution going to do something on SummerSlam this Sunday? Are they going to have a match? Are we going to find out who the members of Retribution are? I said this on the SmackDown review on Friday. We still have no idea what's their goal. We have no idea what's the true goal. We still have no idea what's the true goal of Retribution. No idea. But yet, let's just put them in a random attack. Alright, and I see Edward says one of them is Carmella. Right now, I really don't care who the members of Retribution are. You want to show me the members of Retribution? Show me that the night after SummerSlam. Retribution, unless you have something big planned for them at SummerSlam, I don't care. I don't care. This show tonight, Raw and SmackDown this week, should be focused on things that are going to be happening at SummerSlam. I understand, yes, you have to follow up with the Retribution angle, but why would you have Retribution cut off Drew McIntyre during a brilliant promo? Why? Like, save the Retribution stuff for after SummerSlam. Unless you have something planned for them at the show, I don't want to see them on TV. I don't. I honestly found this to be stupid. Drew McIntyre kind of got a beautiful promo that he gets interrupted. So we come back from commercial, and basically most of the baby faces, most of the Raw locker room, they're huddled backstage, and they're talking about what they're going to do about Retribution. So then we see Drew McIntyre. He says, oh, we cannot. Basically, that was the same exact thing we saw Big E do on SmackDown. He's like, oh, this is our house. We got to defend it. Yada, yada, this, yada, yada, that. Then Seth Rollins, the Messiah, who in reality is the true Raw locker room leader, because I believe he is the actual locker room leader of Raw, especially with Roman Reigns not there. He in his Messiah suit, he's like, Drew, let the Messiah handle things, basically. I didn't mind this interaction here. I like the intensity there. Seth reminded Drew that the first person he defended that WWE Championship against was him. And, Seth talked about how he had to teach Drew, even though he lost somebody in the bank, he had to teach Drew, how to be a champion, because Seth is a former world champion no matter what you think. All right. Then there was really good intensity here between Seth and Drew. But eventually it didn't really lead to anything. It didn't lead to a match. So now I'm sitting here wondering, like, what the hell? So then, out of nowhere, the Hurt Business, MVP, Lashley, and Shelton Benjamin come out. They cut a promo saying if Retribution wants to get these hands, they can come on out. But basically, this whole promo was just about MVP bitching and moaning how, once again, the only reason why he lost the United States Championship was because of Retribution messing with the lights. I hate how they're using that. MVP, I understand he's a heel, but the fact that you're acting like, oh, I lost because of the lights is retarded. I don't care what anybody says. It's freaking retarded. It is. So then, this leads to Apollo Crews coming out. This was very, very similar to what we saw last week on the MVP Lounge. All right, and it actually, this wasn't bad. You have MVP and Apollo Crews going back and forth. MVP says the reason why you act this way is because the second you lose that United States Championship, it's right back to catering. You go with Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander and Ricochet. And the thing I hate this, even though I didn't mind it, I hate it, is because Vince and company know that we the community, or the WWE Universe, as they like to tell us, they know that we know, and we think that all those superstars are buried. But instead of rectifying that and actually pushing them as the next stars on WWE TV, like Paul Heyman wanted to, they decide not to do that. And instead, they decide to insult our intelligence by acknowledging that those superstars are in catering every single week. I hate it. I hate it. But then Apollo Crews, he talked about, it looks like my computer's finally starting to work. He talked about, how he wanted a rematch with Shelton Benjamin. You guys remember, they had, Shelton Benjamin pinned Apollo clean last week. And I said right here on the Raw review last week that they were going to do a rematch between those two this week, which in fact they did. But the stipulation this time was that if Apollo won, Lashley and Benjamin would be banned from ringside for the United States Championship match at SummerSlam. So we had the match, and during the match, the 24/7 Championship got 3 segments on this show. 3! But the 24/7 Championship isn't going to be defended at SummerSlam. So why should I give a crap? These are the things that I notice every single week, and I hate it. Because it shows how dumb WWE is. Anyway, during the match, R-Truth He's running away from Apollo Crews and his ninjas, like usual. The usual stupid crap. And then this causes a distraction, right? A distraction. And I see everybody in the chat, yes, Shawn Michaels should shave his head. That thing looked terrible. I agree with you guys. If you guys want to do your own poll in the chat, do it. But you guys got my vote. Shawn Michaels should indeed shave his head. That thing is atrocious. He looks nothing like the Shawn Michaels I used to love. Anyway. Apollo beats Elton Benjamin. So he gets his win. But then afterwards, he gets attacked by Lashley and MVP. And then here comes the catering squad. Ricochet, Ali, and Alexander. Lashley puts Alexander in the full Nelson. He gets saved. But in the confusion, R-Truth is still running around the ring. Running from Akira and his ninjas. And that leads us to get Benjamin defeating. Benjamin hit R-Truth when he wasn't looking. And then he pins R-Truth to become 24/7 champion again. Who gives a crap? So later in the show, MVP challenges, right? He challenges Apollo to a 6-man tag team match. And this is basically rinse and repeat because we saw this match a couple weeks ago. If you guys remember the night after, what was the last pay-per-view? I can't remember anymore. What was the last pay-per-view? Backlash. The night after Backlash, when Mustafa Ali made his return, we had this match. So instead, we get this match again here tonight. 6-man tag team match, elimination style. Cedric Alexander was the odd man out. And, you know, they keep teasing that Alexander could turn heel, but that's not happening. So what happens here is, first of all, Ricochet gets buried in 30 seconds. Mustafa Ali gets buried in 30 seconds. They got pinned by Bobby Lashley like it was nothing. So if you want to say that Ricochet and Ali and his cronies aren't buried, please try me. They're buried. And it's a travesty how they're being used on WWE TV. Travesty. So they're buried right seconds into this elimination match. So now it's Apollo Crews forced to go over, you know, these 3 men, 3-on-1, right? So Apollo beats Elton Benjamin in 2 minutes. After Benjamin gets eliminated, Alexander pins Benjamin for the 24/7 championship. Then runs backstage. All right. Then we see Apollo beat MVP in like 5 minutes after that. So the match you were supposed to get for SummerSlam, right? The second biggest show of the year. We're supposed to get freaking Apollo versus MVP at SummerSlam, but you gave us a match tonight. You gave us a match 2 weeks ago when you had Apollo defeat MVP. So why should I care about Apollo versus MVP this Sunday at Summerscam when you gave us the match 2 weeks ago and you gave us the match again tonight during the elimination match? And Apollo won in like 5 minutes. So why should I care about the SummerSlam match? If anything, the match should be Apollo versus Bobby Lashley. No one understands that in this company. So after Apollo defeats MVP, he gets defeated by Lashley. So good job. Apollo loses last week to Elton Benjamin, and now this week he loses to Lashley. The logic of this company makes no sense. Afterwards, the Hurt Business taunts Apollo, and then we come back from break, and we have a match between Cedric Alexander and Akira Torizono for the 24/7 championship. So the 24/7 championship gets, 3-4 segments on this show? So then we see Alexander beat Akira Torizono in like 2 minutes. And then Benjamin comes out of nowhere to get his payback on Alexander, regain the 24/7 title. Absolutely atrocious. Absolutely atrocious, man. Man, does this show suck. So next up, moving forward, we had Angel Garza versus Ivar. All right. Man, I don't know. They had Demi Burnett from The Bachelor in Paradise. I don't care. That's something that my girlfriend would watch. All right. But atrocious, man. I don't know. Is Demi signed by WWE? Because you've had her on WWE TV now 3 weeks in a row. They really hired somebody from The Bachelor just to sit backstage and flirt with Angel Garza and Ivar and Angel Dawkins. Terrible, bro. The mind of this company. Absolutely. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. So, basically, he was in a backstage segment with Angel Garza. Garza's doing his usual flirting, but then Ivar came. Ivar said he wanted to escort Demi to Raw Underground. Terrible. So then this led to a match between Garza and Ivar. Anyway, we then see Angel Dawkins. Angel Dawkins is backstage talking to Burnett. And then Ivar was quickly able to make the comeback here. And then, I'm checking my notes, make sure I have every... Then Ivar made the comeback, and Andrade then distracted Ivar, because you know Garza and Andrade should not be losing, especially when they have a Raw Tag Team Championship match this Sunday. So, basically, Garza gets the win here, thanks to the distraction by Ivar. Or not the distraction by Ivar, the distraction by Andrade. You guys can tell I just don't give a fuck. So then afterwards, we finally find out what happened to Montez Ford. And it was like everybody said, Zelina Vega was the victim. And this was thanks to Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe, I would say, did a brilliant job of selling this because no one gave a shit. Nobody gave a shit about this at all. But anyway, backstage, Dawkins has a video on his phone, which magically gets played onto the big screen, and then it shows that Zelina Vega poisoned Ford's red Solo cup. So the truth is out, it was Zelina Vega. Zelina beat the heel, tried to blame it on Charlie Caruso, but there was no getting out of this for her. So then later on in the night, we get a match, and I hate how WWE spreads this shit out. Like, they give us one match between people feuding, and then they'll give us another match between those same individuals 2 hours later. I hate it. I really do. Later on, we get a match between Montez Ford and Andrade. And Montez Ford now, who is back to be 100% healthy, he wants payback now on Garza and Andrade. Bianca Belair attacks Zelina Vega at ringside once again, now knowing the truth about what Zelina did. And still, there was no mention of Zelina attacking, or Zelina being attacked by Bianca at her home on a Twitch stream last week. No mention of that, which would have been kind of cool, would have made us care a little bit more about this match on Sunday. But no, WWE doesn't know how to connect reality with their product. They don't know how to be damn creative. But anyway, Montez Ford gets the victory here on Andrade. So, a little bit of payback here. Street Profits are most likely going to walk out winners this Sunday at Summerslam. Even though I don't give a shit. Gotta be honest. I don't give a shit right now. This show is awful. Awful. Speaking of awful, Mickie James. Mickie James is back. And I kind of complained about this week. You know, why is Mickie James back? No one wants to see her in the ring at her age. It's not that she's bad, but it's because we have a whole new generation of talent. Why are we going backwards? Mickie James is how old now? Come on, we should be focusing on this era of WWE superstars, of female wrestlers. Mickie James has had her fun. She's had her time. And yeah, I know they want to say Mickie James wants to be a leader in the locker room. How long till we see Mickie James in a title match before Bianca Belair? Don't give me that nonsense. I know where this is going. I know how WWE does these things. Terrible. So, Mickie James coming back. Her first match in, what, a year and a half? Who knows? I don't remember Mickie James' last match. And she's going up against Natalya. I didn't give a shit about the match before. And WWE did everything not to make me give a shit about this match. Because as the match is going on, right? This is Mickie James' her first match in like a year and a half. It should be important, right? No. Instead of making it important, you have Lana filming at ringside for her stupid TikTok. Why should I care? Who cares? Who cares? And then you have Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy come out. Seth Rollins comes out, and he's busy arguing with Samoa Joe at ringside. Which I'm not gonna lie, it's cool, because I love Samoa Joe. I love the intensity he brings to anything he does. Anything that comes out of Samoa Joe makes me care about because I love Samoa Joe. Love him. But then you have Samoa Joe and Seth Rollins arguing for like a good 3 or 4 minutes because Seth wants to know if Rey Mysterio is coming back or not. Is he really here? Samoa Joe's like, oh, I have information that I just can't tell you. And meanwhile, Lana interferes. Not that I give a shit, but Lana interferes, and Mickie James gets counted out. Natalya gets the win. I'm telling you right now, Mickie James is smiling at her house right now. Like, you brought me back for this? You brought me back for this. So, guess what's probably going to happen next week? Guess what's going to happen next week? We're going to get a rematch. A rematch. I know how WWE works. We're going to get a rematch between Mickie James and Natalya. Not that I give two shits. I don't give a shit at all. This is atrocious. This is awful, man. This is awful. You brought Mickie James back for this. Dang. You brought her back. This is her first match back in over a year. Not only did she not win, but you put the match in the background. Her match wasn't even the focus of the segment. Atrocious. It's not that I wanted to see Mickie James anyway, but man, was this bad. This was awful. Awful. Moving on to another thing that was bad. So you guys realize Sasha Banks and Bayley are supposed to defend the Women's Tag Team Championships a week from SummerSlam at WWE Payback. So I've been saying for weeks now, you should be building up Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan to be the next challengers for Sasha Banks and Bayley. I believe those are really the only two right now that you can make a claim should be the ones to take those titles off Sasha Banks and Bayley. Because Sasha and Bayley aren't going to hold those tag team titles forever. And you know they want to further evolve and endorse the women's division. But no one wants to see the Iconics again with the Women's Tag Team Championships. Absolutely nobody. But you have Ruby Riott versus Peyton Royce. Last week you had Ruby Riott, or not Ruby, I think it was Peyton Royce versus Liv Morgan last week. Peyton got the victory. This week you have the match again. Alright, but this time instead of it being Liv Morgan, it's Ruby Riott. Instead, Bianca Belair was talking crap to Ruby Riott at ringside. Once again, you're making your baby faces look stupid. Then you see Peyton Royce. He was able to shove Ruby Riott into Liv Morgan, causing a distraction. And then they call her finishing move the Deja Vu, even though it's just another version of Nikki Cross's swinging neckbreaker. That's all it is. It's not that impressive. I don't know. But Peyton Royce gets the win. I told you guys this last week. Vince McMahon is very high on Peyton Royce. I don't see why. But man, Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott, right? They're going to become the next Women's Tag Team Champions. At this point, it looks like it's going to be the Iconics. Because every week the Iconics keep getting the upper hand on Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott. And Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott are supposed to be the baby faces here. But yet they keep losing. Great stuff there, WWE. Absolutely awful. Awful. So next up we have the Mysterios. So Rey Mysterio comes back. So it's official. Rey Mysterio is back with the WWE. Because why would he be there tonight if he didn't re-sign a WWE contract? The only reason why Rey Mysterio is not going to AEW is because Dominic is now a WWE superstar. So of course Rey is going to stay in WWE and be in support of his son. And I do remember that I know eventually they want to do a match between Rey Mysterio and Dominic, which still could be months away, but we all know that is eventually on the docket. So then Rey Mysterio comes back. You know, it's ridiculous. We know Rey Mysterio's eye is not really injured. This is only per storyline. They had a patch. Rey Mysterio had a patch. It wasn't an eye patch, but it was a piece of one of his masks. I could tell. You could see based on like the tracing of it. He had a piece of one of his luchador masks, you know, covering up his right eye hole. And basically, you know, they're trying to sell that Rey is still recovering, even though we all know he's fine. But Rey cut a really good promo about him, you know, not being there to be in support of his son after that brutal beatdown, which was a great segment between Dominic, Seth, and Buddy Murphy last week. And this wasn't bad. It it wasn't as good as last week. Rey cut a beautiful promo. Rey did say he would never leave his son like that again, because at SummerSlam he would be in his son's corner. This is no surprise. We most of us knew that was the direction this was going. And Dominic, Dominic did a good job because he had his hands on his ribcage the entire time, selling the injuries because those were real Kendall shots last week. And Dominic, man, he paid his dues with that beatdown he took last week. Then Rollins appeared on the big screen. He cut a beautiful promo, another good promo on Rey. He said Rey is selfish for putting his own son in danger and how he continues to stand in the way of the greater good. I still don't understand what the greater good is. Still don't understand what the greater good is. 3 months later. Just saying. Anyway, Rey challenged and dared Seth to come to the ring. I thought this was going to be, a sucker hole. So for Aleister Black and Humberto, people who have been victims of Seth's attacks in the last couple of months, I thought this was going to be a way for them to get some payback here. Kind of similar to what we saw the week before Backlash, when Rey was going up against Seth in the eye for an eye situation. But instead, Seth came out, took out his coat, his tie, rolled up his sleeves. Rey and Dominic retreated, but clearly they made Seth and Buddy look like dumbasses because Seth was so busy wanting to beat the hell out of Rey. It allowed Dominic to sneak over to the barricade, grab 2 kendo sticks, and they were able to beat the hell out of Buddy Murphy and Seth Rollins. So Dominic and Rey getting some payback here on Buddy Murphy and Seth Rollins. Wasn't a bad segment. The kendo shots didn't look as brutal as the ones that Dominic took last week. We'll see what happens at SummerSlam. I want to say Dominic's going to get the victory, and we'll discuss that on the SummerSlam preview and predictions next, most likely either Wednesday or Thursday later this week. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It's going to be interesting to see where this goes. I do care about this match. So out of everything on SummerSlam, hey, you got me to care about 3 matches. Great job there, WWE. I care about only 3 matches on your second biggest show of the year. A show that's supposed to be on the level of WrestleMania. But that doesn't matter, right? Because WWE Thunderdome is going to make up for how bad the SummerSlam match card actually looks. Ridiculous. So moving on. We had Raw Underground, and as you guys can tell, I am speeding through this show tonight like I told you guys I would. I told you guys I was going to speed through this show tonight. Raw Underground. This was garbage. Okay, I'll say this. Raw Underground was not as bad as it was the last 2 weeks, but at the end of the day, I can't get behind it. Legit. Raw Underground is scripted UFC and WWE. Alright, that's it. I watched UFC 252 this weekend with a bunch of my boys. We watched that amazing fight between Cormier and Stipe Miocic. Great. It was a great show. And legit, that's legit what I was watching here with Raw Underground. It's just scripted UFC and WWE. You had Eric of the Viking Raiders. He demolished some guy in the first fight of the night. So it looks like Eric's permanent role is in Raw Underground because he's been on Raw Underground, I believe, all 3 weeks. All 3 weeks, Eric has been in Raw Underground. Then Dolph Ziggler, who was at ringside, talking with Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon is legit the Joe Rogan. You guys watch UFC, you guys know who Joe Rogan is. Shane McMahon is the Joe Rogan of Raw Underground. Dolph Ziggler rated his win a 4 out of 10, and Eric overheard this. He called him out. So then, this was the first time we actually had 2 credible WWE names. Well, I don't know if I would call Dolph Ziggler or Eric credible, but at least they're known superstars. Let's just call it that. The first time we've had 2 known superstars go up against each other at Raw Underground. And we saw this wasn't bad, but it just looks like scripted UFC. I can't get over that, man. It wasn't terrible, but it's scripted UFC and WWE. That's what nobody understands. It doesn't matter how good it looks. It's scripted, bro. That's it. Ziggler was able to lock in a sleeper hold. He used a thumb in the eye to secure the win. Then Ivar came out of nowhere to knock Ziggler off the platform onto these onlookers into the crowd. And it was announced that next week on Raw Underground, Ivar versus Dolph Ziggler. I'm so excited. So we have our first ever pre-advertised Raw Underground match, and I don't give a shit. I don't give two shits. Later in the show, we had Artur Ruiz, that Brazilian guy from last week, going up against Riddick Moss. This was physical, but it ended when both men got in fights with other people around the ring, so there was no winner. So we'll probably see a rematch of that next week too. And then in the last bout of the night, we had Shayna Baszler's MMA crew, real MMA fighters in a scripted UFC Raw Underground. No one sees a problem with that though. We had Marina Shafir defeat another woman in a quick fight, but then Nia Jax appeared and took Marina Shafir and Jasmine Duke out. Then Baszler confronted Jax, and it looks like we were going to get a Nia Jax versus Shayna Baszler Raw Underground match, which I was actually curious to see how this would go, but we all know how terrible Nia Jax is, and Nia realized this. Nia realized how bad she is, so she left. I don't blame her. But we're getting the continuation of the Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler feud. I don't give a shit, but whatever. And I wanted to save the best for last. Last thing on the show tonight that we're going to talk about is the best female wrestler in the world, Sasha Banks and Bayley, the two best things on WWE TV. I am terrified for SummerSlam. Terrified. Because I don't know. I really don't think Sasha... I want to believe that Sasha's going to win at SummerSlam, but I'm terrified. It's like everything points to Sasha losing this Sunday at SummerSlam. And I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know. So Sasha and Bayley come out, and they gave both of them, both of them gave beautiful promos about how they're going to defeat Asuka at SummerSlam. They debated about who was going to face Asuka first. They said there was no way that Asuka was going to beat both of them. No way. And clearly, there's no way Asuka is walking out with both belts. She's walking out with one at most. One at most. And all signs point that she's going to... And I hate it. They're setting it up for me to be really pissed off. Because if Sasha loses at SummerSlam, you guys are going to get probably the rant of the year. Probably the rant of the year on the SummerSlam review. Honestly, man, because I'm terrified. So, basically, Sasha and Bayley went back and forth about who's going to face Asuka first. And then Bayley said, since I'll do anything for my best friend, I'll defeat Asuka first, retain my SmackDown Women's Championship, and then give you easy pickings after the match. So you would think that since Sasha, the best female wrestler in the world, would be going up against Asuka last at SummerSlam, it would be easier for her to retain her title. But clearly, I don't know. I'm not excited. I'm scared that Bayley's going to retain, even though she's going to go up against Asuka first. I'm terrified that Bayley's going to retain. And then Sasha, who's going to be 100%, and Asuka's clearly going to be worn down from her match with Bayley, right? That they're going to do some fuckery. Some fuckery's going to go around. And then Bayley or Shayna Baszler or somebody's going to cost Sasha Banks the Raw Women's Championship. There's no way Sasha loses the Raw Women's Championship clean. No way. But I'm terrified. I don't want Sasha losing the title at all. Because why would you give her the championship if you were just going to have her lose the title in her first defense under 30 days? Oh! I pray that I'm wrong, guys. I really do. I don't want to have to give the rant of the century this Sunday. But you guys can already tell the anger is already forming. I'm already starting to feel the anger flow through my veins. I pray that I'm wrong, guys. I really do. Hopefully, we won't have to go through that. Hopefully, we won't, but... Anyway. Shayna Baszler came out after the promo, and she said that she gets dibs on whoever wins this Sunday. And then, there was a WWE Payback commercial that had Sasha Banks and Shayna Baszler advertised. But still, I have no idea who's going to win. I love Asuka, but Sasha needs to retain. She needs to retain. It's not an if. It's a must. It's a must. If Asuka was the champion going to SummerSlam, I would think differently. But Sasha's the champion. There's no way. No way. I don't care. No way. Sasha cannot lose the Raw Women's Championship coming out of SummerSlam. She can't. Bayley can. If Bayley lost the SmackDown Women's Championship, she would be okay. But Sasha, she can't. It's a must. And we'll talk about this on the SummerSlam prediction show. But Sasha cannot lose. She can't. Alright? I'm hoping we get Sasha Banks and Shayna Baszler. And I've said that should be the next feud coming out of SummerSlam for the Raw Women's Championship. But yet, you have Asuka coming out. Asuka came out and said that tonight, I team with you, Shayna. But after this Sunday, we will fight for the title. So it's like WWE's telling you that Asuka versus Shayna is the next feud. And I pray that I'm wrong. But I hate that. WWE's like they're trying to insult my intelligence. Insult all the Sasha fans like, oh yeah, Sasha's losing on Sunday. I hope I'm wrong. I really do hope I'm wrong. But things are not looking good for my favorite right now. Oh, man. But we got the match, and this was a really good tag team match. But Nia Jax busted through the plexiglass early on to attack Shayna Baszler. And then she attacked Shayna. Then Shayna and Nia brawl backstage, leaving Asuka alone, 2-on-1. Kind of giving us a mini preview of what's going to happen this Sunday at SummerSlam. Sasha and Bayley dominated, but Asuka, being as great as she is, was able to fight back. So then, near the end of the match, Shayna came back, tagged herself in, and this pissed me off. This really did. This wasn't as bad as when we had Sasha versus Shayna a couple weeks ago, and Asuka, came and attacked Bayley, resulting in a DQ. It wasn't that bad. But at the end here, Sasha was the legal woman. Sasha was the legal woman in the ring. And then all of a sudden, Asuka attacks Sasha, and Asuka puts Sasha in the Asuka lock on the outside the ring. Bayley, who is not the legal woman, she's not the legal woman at all, but then Baszler puts Bayley into Coquina clutch and gets the win. The match was great. The tag team match was great. But Sasha was the legal woman. But instead, Bayley's the one tapping out for the win. What? Does nobody see this? Does nobody in WWE understand the logic gaps here? Does nobody look at this on paper and see, oh, logic gap. Bayley tapping out and that being the end of the match when Sasha's the legal woman? Does nobody see that? And here's the thing. Bayley, you're SmackDown Women's Champion. Losing clean 2 weeks in a row. She tapped out last week to Asuka. And now this week she taps out clean to Shayna Baszler. And here's the thing. Shayna Baszler, it doesn't even have a match at SummerSlam. She's not even on the card. But yet she's defeating Bayley, who's supposed to be the most dominant SmackDown Women's Champion ever. 6 days before SummerSlam. Yeah. I hate it. It's like WWE doesn't care about having their champions look strong. It's like that doesn't go through their head. It doesn't go through their head at all. Oh yeah, we're just gonna have Bayley lose clean 6 days before SummerSlam to somebody that's not even on the card. And yet you have Shayna Baszler saying that she's going after the Raw Women's Champion, but she made the SmackDown Women's Champion tap out clean. So technically, no matter what happens at SummerSlam, that would put Shayna in line for a SmackDown Women's title shot, right? Nobody sees the logic gaps. Ugh! It pisses me off, bro. It really does. Because this company doesn't ever use logic. Oh my gosh. This is terrible. It is. Bayley should... I love Bayley, but she does not need to retain at SummerSlam. It's all about Sasha. It's about Sasha, bro. But man, if WWE does what I think is going to happen, and they have Bayley retain and have Sasha lose after Asuka wrestles Bayley in what could go 15 to 20 minutes, I'm going to be pissed. I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to be pissed. And I pray that I am wrong and that SummerSlam we walk out with Sasha as the Raw Women's Champion. It doesn't matter if Bayley retains or not. Bayley will be fine. If Sasha loses at SummerSlam, it's going to hurt her more in the long run. Because where does Sasha go? Where does Sasha go? Does things just go right back to normal? Bayley being SmackDown Women's Champion? Bayley being Bayley Doe Straps and Sasha just being a lackey again? I can't deal with that. I can't. But we'll see. And I hope I'm wrong, but we'll see. Anyway, you guys can already see the anger. I already got one of my veins popping out. This show was so bad tonight. And that's that ending, man. And the possibility of seeing Sasha lose another championship after not even 30 days. It angers me so much. I pray that I'm wrong. But I'm not that confident. Not that confident, man. I'm scared. I'm scared. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. SummerSlam this weekend. SummerSlam on Sunday. It's going to be crazy. And I'll have you guys covered. I'm not hyped. I'm only hyped for Sasha versus Asuka, Orton versus McIntyre, and Rollins versus Mysterio. But other than that, I am not hyped about this show at all. At all. I am terrified. But Monday Night Raw tonight was garbage. It doesn't even feel like SummerSlam is this Sunday. But, hey, we'll cover it. Life moves on. We got WWE Thunderdome to look forward to later this week, which is going to be interesting. But other than that, guys, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for joining me here on the podcast. We're going to have, before you guys leave, a couple of announcements. First off, leave a like on this video if you guys enjoyed the review. As always, guys, it helps me out a lot. So leave a like before you guys leave if you guys haven't already. I will see you guys later this week. I believe Thursday, either Wednesday or Thursday, we will have our SummerSlam preview and prediction show. All right, we will talk about SummerSlam. So it'll probably be around noontime, somewhere around there. Wednesday or Thursday. We will have the NXT TakeOver 30 review on Saturday. We'll have our SmackDown review on Friday. We'll have SummerSlam reaction stream Sunday night. And we'll have a SummerSlam review Sunday night as well. So tons of podcast content. So if you guys are not subscribed, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Have the bell right next to my name, Fitzmonk TV, clicked on so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. It's going to be a crazy week. Lots to look forward to. Well, not to look forward to, but at least no matter if WWE is trash or not, you guys can look forward to getting the best reviews in the community by yours truly. So hopefully I'll see you guys later this week. I'll most likely see you guys next for our next podcast on Wednesday for SummerSlam preview and predictions, and we'll go through the rest of the week as is. So definitely a lot of things coming up. So definitely I hope you guys are here for all of that. Other than that, I'll see you guys later. Stay safe and healthy, guys. Peace.